true crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I love these live chills where I can actually say hi to people and talk to y'all. I love them. Best days. I love doing cases where people aren't covering them a whole bunch and we can cover them and we can get justice for those that don't have a voice. So today we're talking about Christopher Gregor. We know him as the Treadmill murderer or the killer. We're going to talk about justice for Corey Michelot, of course. And we're not going to show that treadmill image over and over because it's just, we don't need to. We're not trying to emphasize on the bad things. We want to talk about Christopher Gregor today, which is a bad guy. So far, allegedly, he's on trial. What is up, Sandy McCracken? I'm saying hello to everybody. I came on a little early so I could say hi to y'all. Me too, Melissa Johnson. I'm the same. Not even going to talk about that. What's up? More 1967. You got a new computer? Yes. Kim Princess. Sure, 13. The day one. I might not have any mods in here today, folks. So you guys might have to help me. I do have Carly welcoming, but we'll see if she comes on today, folks. All right. And so far, Bree's not here. She's usually here. So we might be rumbling by ourselves. And today we're talking about Christopher Gregor. Will he testify? Hit that like button as you come in and let's get started. I came on early to talk to you all so I didn't get in trouble by people telling me to be quiet on my channel. Go figure. What's up, Monica? I don't have any mods so far, but I hope they come in. What's up, TS66? Jess made it. What's up, Jess? Good to see you, girl. Miracle Hearts. You're the only YouTuber that has said my name. I'm a forever fan. Sandy McCracken, I love you, and so does the True Crime crew. That's why I try to pay attention to my true crimers, the crime crew official, and everybody else. Thank you. What's up, Kirsten Kolb from Germany? Yes, I love people from other countries. I want to go to other countries. All right, so I'm going to put myself aside here, and let me show you this person that we're talking about. We're talking about Christopher Gregor today because everyone wants to know about him further. So we're getting more into him, and we're getting into the highlights of the trial, folks. The trial's happening. Many of you are watching it. I can't watch it every day. I'm very busy. Blah, 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 blah. Hi, Jane Mods, chat, everybody. Hello, everybody. Roomies, Missy Frederick, what is up? Yes. Kristen Davis, already liked from Arizona. Thank you. Would you like that? Would that make us guilty criminals? That would make you the official crime crew. No guilt. We're putting people that are guilty of crime on our platform, and the ones that are on trial and the ones that we think are guilty of crime. I hope you're not a guilty criminal. What's up, Royal Blue? Yes, yeah, they offered him a 30-year deal, and he's not taking it, folks. And guess what? He's probably going to get life, and we're going to get into that today as we let everyone roll in. I wanted to talk about Christopher Gregor himself, tell you a little bit about it, and then tell you who he is, the red flags, and more. Melissa Johnson, I've pulled you up like 3 times before. I'm not skipping your love. What's up? I love you. I pulled you up. No guilt. We the crime crew, baby. That's it. That's what's up. We are the crime crew, and we're solving, helping to. We're helping. We want to help solve crimes. We want to get it out there. We want to connect the dots, and we want to put people on blast that are the criminals, and speak for those that don't have the voice of justice. We are the J True Crime Junkies. All of us. We're all guilty of being true crime junkies here, folks. We watch it every day, and you know it. I'm glad you're taking your time, and thank you, Gigi. It's just my life story. I'm glad I'm nailing my life story because I'm just telling you what I'm talking about. All right. I came in early. Y'all are here. Let's get cracking what we're talking about. I'm going to tell you real quick, Christopher Gregor. Okay. We're going to tell you, in case you haven't been watching this or you didn't watch the first episode, Christopher Gregor, the monster over here. Hold on, let me put the monster right here, Christopher Gregor. This little boy was conceived by Bree Michelot when she was 17 years old. Christopher Gregor got her pregnant at 16 when he was 19 years old. He allegedly, and it was by forcible assault that Corey Michelot was conceived. So yes, there's red flag number one. Okay, so Christopher Gregor forcibly essayed Bree, got her pregnant. Now, that's the history of him being a violent man with anger issues, according to Bree. He first entered Corey's life in 2019 when Corey was already 4 years old. Bree Michelot was seeking child support to help pay for Corey's needs, as well as having problems with methamphetamines and other drugs. She began to contact DCPP shortly after he got partial custody. Now, Corey didn't have a relationship with his father prior to 2019. He didn't even know about him. He came into his life, and because the order was granted by the judge. I wish the judge wouldn't have done that, and I bet the choices that were made, they regret. All right. Despite her concerns and the bruises that Corey came home with, nothing happened. And what did happen was the passing of little Corey Michelot. Unfortunately, that led to the consequences for Corey, and he suffered and ultimately lost his life. Now, we all know Christopher Gregor is currently on trial for the murder of 6-year-old Corey Michelot. Now, he got him in 2019, and the incident occurred April 2nd, 2021, when Corey was brought to New Jersey Hospital. His father, Christopher Gregor, Corey complained of nausea and shortness of breath. As soon after arriving to the hospital, he started having seizures, and he tragically passed away. The medical examiner determined Corey's death a homicide caused by blunt impact injuries. Now, March 22nd, he gets charged. He's been sitting in there since March 22nd. Christopher Gregor. All right. Now, thank you for being here, Carly. Please hit that like button. I thought I didn't have any mods today, folks. All right. There were 100 complaints. Yes. And I'm going to get into, I wanted to show you who it was while I was telling my side of my story to this that I've learned so far. Now I'm going to tell you who Christopher is, and then I'm going to show you who Christopher is so you can decide if you think that Christopher is going to take the stand. Now, I already told you that his parents are going to take the stand, and you want to know why? Because the judge ruled it to be so. Hello, Cheech. Everybody coming in here, thank you. Yay, Carly is here. Barrett, what's up? Disgusting, despicable, subhuman is who Christopher Gregor is. I agree. Thank you. And I do like these mellow chats where people aren't complaining to me about hurrying up. All right. So thank you. I am on a time restraint here, and I want to get through all this information. I have lots of information because the trial's already started and I'm behind. So some of you aren't behind and some of you are. I am, but now I'm catching up with you. Thank you for not rushing me, folks. I'll get to it all. Yeah. Yeah, lots of complaints. Lots about my channel. Bree, what's up? You made it. I have 2 mods today. Yes. All right. Let's go. Who's Christopher? Who is Christopher? Well, we know he's an accused New Jersey killer dad who forced his 6-year-old to run the treadmill. Okay, we're not going to show this again. It's warning, graphic content. It's the treadmill scene. I'm going to pass that because we don't need to. There it is, real quick. Okay, now we're going to get past it. I just gave you the backstory, but we're going to talk about him before that. We're going to talk about when Corey returned home to his mother, Bree Michelot, that day from the treadmill with a busted lip. Christopher Gregor said it happened when he accidentally kicked his youngster while playing soccer. There he is, folks. There's the monster. I don't need to show him much. Maybe, okay, there it is. We can see him. Somebody in comments were funny and said something about his nose being big. It was a weird screenshot that got captured. Look at his nose there. It looks like he has a giant nose. Isn't that funny? Look, right there. There's somebody behind him, and it looks like he's Pinocchio. Which he is Pinocchio because he is a liar, everybody. All right. I'm glad that we're not showing that again. Okay? You don't need to be quiet. I just can't put everybody's comments while I'm working on my show. So, thumbs up, hit that like. Let's get this out there. A lot of people aren't covering this. The only people that are really covering this is Court TV, and it's lots of big, giant hours of time, and we don't all have that time. So let's talk about Christopher Gregor, who is the monster on trial. All right. We know that Michelot reported several reports, 100 reports to be exact. And she even said once that she was suspicious that he was using the treadmill to punish him. That was in their notes, folks, okay? And he died from the treadmill. So she begged the day before, she begged Child Protective Services to get him away from the abuser, but no one listened. No one helped. She wrote to change.org petition she started after Corey's death. The day before he died, Michelot said a judge denied her request for full custody. Now, let's talk about Gregor. Who Gregor was before this. Christopher Gregor attended Monroe Township High School and was an honor student and an all-state defensive lineman who played football for school's 2009 group state championship football team, according to an archival. I can't even read that word. Archival, I'll say archival, capture of since deleted page. It's archival, by the way. So there's an archive that we can't see it now. It's been deleted on the website. And I'm assuming that it was deleted because, I'm assuming it was deleted because when you have somebody that does a crime like this, you don't want them in the archives as being on your team, going to school, right? We know, and we don't know for sure, but the prosecution is saying that a lacerated heart and liver is the cause of little Corey's death, not sepsis. If you're watching the trial, you're seeing how poorly that they're failing. Okay, they are miserably failing right now, I believe. Jamila, what's up? Okay, I don't know why the defense is doing this, but the defense is coming at these people that are generally good people, good-natured teachers, doctors, and they're coming at them very hard and very rude. It reminds me of the Chad Daybell case with John Pryor, the way he's disrespectfully talking to them. All right. What's up, J.E. Everett? Hello to you. All right. So they're doing a miserable job, in my opinion. If you're watching the trial, let me know what you think. Hey, Jay, hit the like button coming in. Thank you, KJ. Yes. So we should see breaking news. He's getting a guilty verdict. Has that happened yet? If it has, then guess what? We're going to watch that. If somebody wants to email that to me, I'll put my email down there and we can do that. We can look at the guilty verdict as we see what kind of man he is, because a lot of people haven't seen him yet. Okay, so if that's true, that's a perfect time. All right, Deb says not yet. Okay, good, because we have a lot to show here today. All right, so we know who this guy is. We know he was a football player. He thought he was better. They took him out of there. The same year, he was even selected to be a hero and cool kids mentorship program for middle schoolers, reserved for high school students considered positive role models by their administrators, according to a 2010 report by Home News Tribune newspaper. So these people are probably disgraced. Now, Gregor briefly attended Wesleyan University, a small liberal arts school with about 3,200 students in Middletown, Connecticut. He was arrested. Now, here's his background, folks. I'm going to stop for a second because I'm talking about Christopher Gregor. Do you think he's going to testify? His parents are going to testify. You're going to hear that today, and I want you to know who he is. Next court date's tomorrow. Yes, this court is very interesting the way they're running it. They're running it every other day, like they're missing Mondays. Some days, I don't know if they're playing it delayed. They're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So the state's still presenting. The state's doing a fantastic job, by the way, and the defense is being very disrespectful. All right, so we're getting into who Christopher Gregor is. And yeah, no, his parents testified. That's what I'm talking about today. I'm going to show you that for the folks that haven't caught up, okay? My question wasn't, will the parents testify? Will he testify? And I'm telling you, his parents will testify. You see that? Parents testify. Right up here. Here's the headline. Let me show you down here so you know. All right, there it is today. He studied psychology. Dear Lord, correct. The treadmill killer, will he testify? Who is he? His parents do testify. No, mommy and daddy saying things on the witness stand and saying things he can't. Yeah, he's a control freak, folks. All right, so we're talking about him being arrested. We're in 2024. This was before all this. Christopher Gregor was arrested November 10th for allegedly stealing from a female dorm resident's room and drunkenly assaulting two male students who tried to stop him as he fled, punching them and elbowing them in the face. The Middletown Press wrote at the time, Gregor ultimately received his undergrad and Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, the University of Arizona, an online school formerly called Ashford University. All I'm going to say about those online schools, folks, that's all I'm going to say about those online schools like that. This man did not have his degree in psychology, I'll tell you what. All right? He did, but I could say whatever I want because it's my channel. And I'm saying that guy is a monster. And I don't believe that he even studied one day. And I hope his parents do too. You're going to hear about it today. He's from a rich family. He is very entitled. He's very angry. He's a narcissist. He's an abuser. He's a assaulter. He sexually assaults people as well, by the way. Hint, hint. That's how Corey Michello was conceived. All right, folks? Yeah, and you should laugh at that. The reason for the delays in court is because having schedule with the witnesses. There's been a lot of issues like that. The parents even testified, and they had to testify without the jury being there to make sure that it was okay for them to testify in front of the judge. So the judge had to rule on it, everybody. So yeah, there's a lot of delays. So I'm catching up with everybody. So we're talking about who Christopher is. Now you're going to see who he is. And you know why you're going to see who he is? You're going to see who he is because we're going to play his freaking Google. We're going to see what he's been Googling, everybody. And if you stay long enough, you're going to also see what he's been texting. What he's been texting and what he's been Googling. That's how we're going to find out. We're also going to listen to the parents. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for saying it for me. Yes, KJ, he's very vindictive, entitled, and he's a Karen. We're not even going to call him a Kyle. We're going to call him a Karen. Although he does look like a Kyle, folks. there's a Kyle and there's a Karen, and he has that Kyle face to him really bad. If there's a picture of Karen and a picture of Kyle, he is the Kyle, except he's not really a man. All right. Now, let's finish, and then we can stop listening to my mouth. All right. He would later learn his master's in secondary education and teaching from Johns Hopkins University School of Education, per LinkedIn. So we didn't double check that. I tried doing a background check on him, and it was hard to find anything without a social security number. So he has a secondary master's and teaching from Johns Hopkins University, folks. This guy, the next several years, would see him job hopping across Florida, New Jersey, and Maryland, working brief stints at an eclectic range of gigs, including a crisis hotline counselor, realtor, math teacher, and sales associate for NHL's Tampa Bay Lighting. Did you just hear all of that? I hope you heard everything I said. Yeah, we're just going to call him that. I really hope that you heard everything I said. Deb, Basile, the treadmill is the key for the jury. Even though Corey passed 10 days from lacerations to the heart and liver, it shows what kind of psycho he is. Absolutely. And the reason I'm not showing it over and over is because people are triggered and there's no reason for us to show it. His current positions list him as a real estate agent and a Red Door Deal real estate in New Jersey. It said what he was doing before he got arrested. Gregor racked himself up more than a half dozen criminal charges in Baltimore between August 27th and April 2018, including assault, robbery, and destruction of property. Public records show. So you can see all that, folks. All right. His LinkedIn indicates he was a math teacher at Urban Teachers in Baltimore at the time. All right, we're going to go through the text messages, so I'm going to stop this because I want you to hear it for yourselves, everybody. Let's pull up his text messages and hear what he was texting. We have the text messages. Actually, first we're gonna do the Google searches. I don't want to read the text messages because I have them for you. All right, so we're going to go over the Google search history so you guys can hear that for yourself and see his face as they do it. I love watching trials, and I love watching them with you, and I wish I could watch the whole trial, but I can't. So let's listen. Christopher Gregor, that's all he gets. Monster Google search history. The Treadmill abuse murder trial. Look at his face, guys. Girls, people, look at his ugly Kyle face.
Corey, Travis, Mitchell. He liked the solar system. He liked to play outside. His mom describes him as silly and happy. Corey was 6 on April 2nd, 2021, when his father murdered him. His father is this defendant, Christopher Gregor. This defendant is guilty of abuse and murder because healthy 6-year-olds don't just die during the course of a business day, and neither did Corey Mitchell.
6-year-olds don't just die. Healthy 6-year-olds don't. Something has to happen to them for that to happen. Here is the victim. He's 6 years old, Corey Mitchell, a little kid from Jersey. The defendant, his own father, Christopher Gregor. There he is in court again today.
And again, if you look at his face, he looks annoyed, he looks bored, and he looks annoyed. Yeah, we'll call him the Tread Killer, Dr. Grande. I'm not sure if we did Dr. Grande. I'm pretty sure we did on another episode of this. We'll just call him the Tread Killer. That's a good one. I just call him a monster. All right. He looks bored, and I wanted you to see what an entitled prick this guy is.
Sergeant Coles testified today and talked about the search history of this defendant and the search history after the abuse on the treadmill on March 20th, before the death on April 2nd, and some searches afterwards. Let's take a listen.
A search conducted on March 25th, 2021 at 9:36:31 p.m. The body of the search states, will red marks turn into bruises? Next entry is April 2nd, 2021 at 6:10:22 p.m. The search was Can your phone be tracked in airplane mode?
The next one.
The next search was for April 2nd, 2021 at 6:10:35 p.m. for can my car be tracked? Next search.
Does that sound like somebody that is innocent? Think about that.
Which was on April 4th, 2021 at 9:58:03 a.m. The search was there was a murder determined from an autopsy. How long to file charges?
Is there another one?
The last one is on April 4th, 2021 at 10:21:16 a.m. The search was how long after an autopsy to file charges get filed?
All right, testimony continuing on a Wednesday. Let's bring back in our think tank, Ann Bremner, Rick King, Philip Dubé. Philip, the only thing he didn't Google was, can police track my Google searches? Like,
That was a good one, folks. Can please track my Google searches. Very good, Biddy. Yeah, that guy's an idiot. He sure didn't have a degree in Google, now did he? Or the internet, or anything else. No one taught him how to love, have compassion, be sympathetic, or even treat women, because red flags say that he was a woman abuser, folks. When a man SAs a young girl that's 16 years old when they're 19 and conceives a child with them, and I say it's conception, but there's a lot worse words. When a man messages a woman 100, 200, 300 times and is threatening abuse and telling them all kinds of awful, nasty things, that's a lot of red flags, folks. This guy is a monster.
come on. This guy supposedly is getting his master's at Johns Hopkins? Like, really? How incriminating? Is there an innocent explanation for any of that, Philip?
None. No, the only thing maybe he could come up with is that he's, writing a script for a reality TV true crime show or something like that. He's going to be the next Scotland Yard and help people crack cases. He's going to be the voice of trying to talk people out of using Google and Bing and Yahoo, that kind of thing. But otherwise, no, this is a telltale sign. It truly is of what was going through his mind. And that's what's really frightening about the World Wide Web. Whatever we type in there is indelibly etched out there for the world to see for eternity, or unless and until it somehow gets purged. And it really does tell you what is on a person's mind. So if you have those types of deep, dark thoughts, keep them to yourself or tell your therapist, but don't type them on the internet. Otherwise, you're going down like Amelia Earhart. Seriously.
It's amazing.
I love these guys right now. They're bringing the light to this case as we get justice for Corey Michelot, because we know we're going to get justice for him. I am that confident that he is going to be convicted of murder, not the lesser charge. I am so confident in this one, and I'm glad that we're making fun of this idiot monster tread killer. Thank you, JPL. I appreciate you so very much.
Yeah, Bremner, here we are. This is in 2021 where all this is happening. Like, you don't realize this stuff, and this abuse. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
He's 6 years old, and this isn't. And this is, he doesn't die until April 2nd, but this clearly is an indicator of the type of.
Sorry, folks, I'm trying not to show it as much as I can anymore. You know what the case is about, but I'm trying to be respectful. We don't need to see it over and over and over. So if you see a clip here and there, I'm sorry.
Abuse and conduct that this father engaged in with his 6-year-old son.
Yeah, he said he was too fat, and the kid falls off like we see, and he's got these bruises and everything else. And 6, kids don't just die at 6. I was thinking of that poem, I think it was A.A. Milne, that said, now I'm 6, I'm as clever as clever. I think I'll be 6 now forever and ever. That's a 6, and he wasn't around that much before, as I read. He kind of swooped in and kind of took over with this child.
Well, he swooped in and took over with the child because he didn't want to pay child support. And I am subscribed to Toddy One Skip. She sits there with that thing. She sits there with her microphone like this, and I'd love to play that for you all about what Bree says, exactly what he did. So if I could find that, I'll play it for you folks. Trigger warning, however.
Potentially, I think, murder.
Rick, the tragedy here is that a 6-year-old boy wants to be like his dad. At least most of them do, right? You're a little boy. You want to be like dad. You want to. This is my guy. This is my guy. And for him to break that trust through that abuse, and potentially, if the jury tells us, through murder, that is beyond. That is beyond.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the tread killer should have kept his. Maybe he should have kept it in his pants and not sexually assaulted Bree, and he wouldn't have had that child to deal with. How about that, Mr. Christopher Gregor, monster? How about you don't go around sexually? Oh, I didn't even want to say that word. Assaulting people, and then you don't get them pregnant, and then you don't have to worry about it. No wonder she was doing a bunch of drugs.
As a 6-year-old boy, you look up to your dad, and you're looking to him to protect you, to guide you, to show you. You want to do those things. You want to jump on that. That kid probably didn't realize what was going on. He thought Dad's trying to strengthen me. He's trying to train me. He's trying to do whatever. Dad is killing this kid, and he's looking up to him. This is his hero. And the tragedy is that this little kid was killed by his hero.
I'm looking at that photo right there. Looks like Dad probably should have gotten on the treadmill, Philip. Seriously, what's going on here? In what world does a 6-year-old need to go on a treadmill for anything? A 6-year-old should be outside playing. That's how we burn calories when we're 6 years old. We go out and we play. Dad takes us outside. Maybe we have a catch. Whatever you do. That's what's supposed to. You don't throw him on a treadmill.
No, of course not. But I must say, if I were defending him, honestly, and I genuinely mean this, I'm not sure that he truly had an intent to kill. Remember, they have to prove that culpable state of mind, that he really wanted to end the life of this child. There was supposed to be some evidence from an expert who was going to test.
This guy is weird, and they're going to find him guilty because they're not going to be able to find the intention, maybe. But we're also going to look at his text messages. We see his Google searches, and that does show that he knew what was happening, and that is going to find him guilty. Let's all put our thoughts and prayers together that he is found guilty for what he's done. I truly believe he knew what he was doing, and they're going to find him to the highest degree of guilt. This guy is playing devil's advocate here because that's what people do on channels.
Testify that the child was septic. And if the child was septic, it means he had a form of blood poisoning. And one of the symptoms of blood poisoning or sepsis is a spasmodic condition where the body just kind of goes wild and starts whacking itself. And it could explain away some of the marks, the bruises, and that kind of thing. But so far, I haven't seen hide nor hair of an expert. So hopefully someone has come into the stand to explain that away. Otherwise, the only thing you're left with is the testosteronic effects of Dad beating and wailing on that kid. And I think the jury's going to be left with a foregone conclusion that he's guilty, and there's really nothing else left. The burden's on him now to put on an expert.
Yeah. And we only have 5 seconds here. Do you think he testifies?
Yeah, I think he's the kind of guy that probably wants to. He's done all these searches, and he's the smartest guy in the room. And by the way, Johns Hopkins, like you mentioned, Benny.
Yeah.
I think so.
Smartest guy in the room.
All right, so that says a lot, everybody. You saw a couple of his dumb searches that he did, and that definitely speaks volumes. All right, so there's no breaking news here. I wish there were for Madeline Soto. That's what just came up right now. Breaking news, but there is no breaking news yet. Thank you, J.E. I hope he's guilty, and justice for Corey is coming soon, and that's why we're here. So next, we're going to talk about even more. We just talked about 2 things: who he is, and do we think he's going to testify? I think we all think he's going to testify. I think the only way that he can get out of what he's put himself in is if he testifies. That's what he thinks. I think that he can explain his way out of it. All right, so this is which one we're going to, the clip we're going to play next, because we are watching the trial together, everybody, as we can't watch it during the day together, but we can watch the important things. And this says, should Christopher Gregor testify? All right.
He died of blunt impact injuries of the chest and abdomen with laceration of the heart, left pulmonary contusion, and laceration and contusion of the liver. In Corey's case, in that these injuries could not have been inflicted by himself with any kind of intent. It's certainly not suicide. These injuries, given their pattern and distribution, are consistent with having been inflicted by another person. Therefore, any death that is related to the actions of another person is, from a medical examiner standpoint, from an epidemiological or public health standpoint, homicide.
When you're 6.
All right. So speaking to that, KJ, mommy and daddy aren't going to get him out of this. And we're going to hear why next. We're going to hear what next. We're going to hear from his parents next. I don't believe his parents are going to get him out of this. Maybe they paid for his lawyer. I don't know. But I don't think they're going to get him out of this. They actually might get him in more trouble. And I think if he testifies, he's going to get himself in more trouble. But he's the smartest man in the room. He's the smartest monster in the room. And monsters aren't very smart.
6 years old. When you're a 6-year-old boy, do you know what you want to be? You want to be your dad. You want to be your dad. Like, he is the man. He is the man. Like, you look at your dad, you wait, is dad home yet? Is dad home yet? That's what you do when you're a 6-year-old boy. And for Corey to be dealt a hand of having this man as his father, now charged with his murder, and today, details from the forensic pathologist, devastating testimony. Let's take a listen.
In assessing the potential for child abuse, it's not so much that contusions are life-threatening in and of themselves, but it's the pattern and distribution of injuries, and also the presence of injuries of varying ages that suggest that a child has been mistreated. And Corey had contusions over a wide area of his body.
I hope you guys are watching this trial. Thank you so much. That was a perfect time for me to stop. Hope 8 Fear gifted a Guilty of Crime membership. There's so many of you that have been asking for a membership to be gifted. There's one now. Make sure you're opted in. Thank you, Hope 8 Fear. And I appreciate you so much. Holly S. scares me to think one of my kids growing up like this. How does this happen? Well, you do the best you can, and we do the best we can. And let's not spoil them too much. Let's spoil them enough, but spoil them with love. It's not the parents' fault, though, unless they're trying to get him out of it. And we're going to hear about that next. And I don't forget about Timothy Ferguson. I don't forget about Timothy Ferguson at all. I just don't cover that case because there's another big YouTuber that does, and I don't want to step on toes.
Varying ages, from under his chin, his head, his trunk, his extremities. There was one fairly large one just on the left side of his chest that looked to be fairly large, and that had been previously assessed. And particularly the presence of contusions on the back without a pretty clear-cut explanation it's not diagnostic of abuse, but it's very suggestive of abuse, certainly given the company that it's keeping. Corey Michelot died of blunt impact injury of the chest and abdomen with laceration of the heart, contusion of the left lung, and laceration and contusion of the liver. It's a traumatic cause. The manner of death is homicide. It was at the hands of another person. He didn't do it himself, and it didn't happen accidentally.
How big was the laceration?
It was described as, and there's no scale on it, it was described by Dr. Regas as being 1.5 inches in length.
Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it about 1.5 inches?
It certainly appears to be.
Okay. And how long would a person live with a laceration of that size?
In Corey's case, it was from the time he was injured till the time he was pronounced at 5:00 p.m. It's not going to be the same for every individual.
Yeah, see, this is where we come into not such a clear line. And they're saying that the time that particular video happened until the time that he passed. But that was probably just caught on video. There was many instances of him abusing Corey that we didn't see on video. And I more than believe he's culpable. And I found the Toady one skip. She is my people, folks. And I'm going to play that video of Bree talking about what Christopher Gregor did to her and what kind of man he was, because today we're talking about who Christopher Gregor is. As soon as this clip's over, I'm going to play that. Toady one, if you're watching me, I'm going to come at you and try to collab, and we're going to play your video, just a portion of it next. I found where Bree talks.
Some people would die sooner. Some people may die after a longer period of time. It would certainly not be instantaneous.
So in Corey's case, you're saying that he could have lived for 4 hours with an 1.5 inch laceration to his heart.
Given where it is and what it is, yes.
And you're saying that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty.
I am.
Evidentiary hearing on Thursday morning, an important one, and then testimony will resume next Wednesday, New Jersey versus Christopher Gregor. Let's bring back our thing.
All right, so I want you guys to hear that testimony is going to resume tomorrow. So right now we're covering what everybody and I missed, and tomorrow you can go back. We'll go this way. We can go back to the trial, and you can watch it tomorrow, and then we can report back on what happens. So today we're recapping and letting you know what happened. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's listen. Tomorrow you got some homework to do, folks.
Tank Darrell Cohen, Molly Palmer, Josh Schiffer. Devastating?
I've been on court TV for several years. This case hits me in a way that I don't have any grace left for this dad.
I don't understand where behavior like this comes from. Like we saw the abuse on video. We saw what was going on with the treadmill. I don't know where this comes from.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this case a bit different than other child abuse cases where death results. Like, for example, we have shaken baby syndrome, and we know that almost 300 people have been exonerated by innocence projects across the nation for this misunderstanding we have sometimes when you have expert testimony about the death of an infant that is seemingly abused. This is different because it's not just this testimony, it's a lot of this other extraneous evidence of bad abuse,
And what Molly's really highlighting there is in Shaken Baby, we've seen time and time again, state prosecutors take this science is what they're going to like to call it, and then force convictions with made up stuff. That's not this case. This case is very different. Here.
And that's what I wanted you folks to know. This case is very different. The prosecution's doing a fantastic job, and the defense is using whatever they can to stick. It's, what do they call that? The spaghetti rule. You throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I think that's what they're doing here. And they're not playing to the jury at all by treating these people the way that they are. Thank you again for mentioning that she took him to the pediatrician and called 100 times. What else could she have done but take her child and leave the country? And then she would have been a kidnapper. She couldn't do that.
It's not an OTO. It's not a one-time only. It was constant over and over and over again. And the foreseeable consequence was death. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't I lost my temper. It was constant. And I am with Josh and I'm with Molly. I am distraught when a father, he's not a man, he's a male.
Now he has a very good attorney, by the way, who is good. He needs it, but one of the things he said in his opening statement is, you're not going to like this guy.
Right.
You're not going to like him. But
well, we're going to hear from Bree next. You're not going to like this guy. Nobody likes Christopher Gregor. We're talking about should he testify, and we're talking about if the jury's going to like him. I do think he feels if he testifies, he can explain his way out of it. So get ready for Christopher Gregor testifying.
That's true.
You got to own that.
Nobody likes him. So what's the argument going to be at the end?
The argument, he's trying to divide the two counts because the child endangerment, the treadmill footage is so horrible to watch, even though that's not the most egregious, serious count, right? So he's trying to basically get the jury in a position where they can say, look, I don't like this treadmill stuff. This is obviously horrible child abuse, but I'll convict on that. And maybe I'll acquit your client of murder because I can agree that he was bad and he was abusive, but does this expert get us there? Or do I believe the defense expert more when it comes to cause of death? He's trying to get them to split those two charges.
As a juror, I would see whether I like this man initially or have no feelings about him. When I see what he did, I would dislike not just him, but his actions, and they would not be able to split those two. In my view, as a juror, it would be guilty, guilty, and very guilty.
Thank you.
Will he testify?
That's the question of the hour. Will he testify? He really is a monster. He clearly was enjoying abusing that baby with the treadmill. And now he's angry at facing accountability. Remember, folks, he also bit him in that video. All right? And I cannot stand the attorney either. Let's talk about will he testify?
And is there a problem if he testifies that it takes away from whatever you're banking on from your expert to try to explain to this jury?
There are big risks if he testifies because they're going to just eat him alive on cross with stuff he's not going to be able to get away from. And with the gravity of what he's facing, he knows he's probably going down and they're fighting this case on appeal. So when you're fighting a case on appeal, you want to create as many appellate issues as you can.
But all you win is another trial and you get convicted again.
Well, his lawyer is going to strongly say, do not testify. But lawyers do not always control the clock.
Look at that man. He needs to be on the treadmill himself. We know he was clearly abusing him because of his narcissism. He did not like the mom. We're going to hear that right after this. This guy needs to be on the treadmill, and he needs to be in prison forever, as long as they can give him. It's first-degree murder is the highest charge that he can get. He's still 30. He's only 33, so he might get out when he's like in his 60s if he gets 25 to life with the possibility of parole. Still not long enough for me, but if that's the best we could do, I'll take it.
Quiet. He may have
He's been emotional inside the courtroom, and he's not stupid, right? He's not stupid.
There's been no competency claims, no mental illness. Like that's the fascinating part to me.
I don't understand. I don't understand this mindset. With he's a 6-year-old little boy, full of life.
Normal human beings cannot understand that mindset. A person who has feelings and thoughts, never could he or she ever understand this mindset. I can understand someone losing their temper, maybe once, maybe doing something he or she should not have done, but there is no way to explain to me how any human being, much less a father, can do this to anyone, much less his own child.
And you see how hard this little boy, little Corey's trying to impress his dad, right? He's running as fast as he can. He's just trying to make his dad happy. And his dad, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It makes zero.
This is really one of those crimes that you're glad we've never seen something like this, because that means it really is that rare and sick and twisted, because the depravity of this shocks me.
Yeah, and that's why you have to keep him off the stand, is that all you do is you show that treadmill footage and you have him sit there and you say, explain this, and what are you doing here? And what's going through your mind here? You know, and so at that point, even if the defense's best aspect is to say, look, convict him of that, but not of this, it's done. He's such an unlikable person.
And I want to note, he could have taken a plea. There was a plea offer. It was just a plea offer no one was ever going to take. It was 30 years.
Yeah.
So he chooses.
No, if he would have took 30 years, and they're probably going to talk about this, he would have got 85% of that time and been out before a life in prison sentence. Now, Nicole, you say you didn't know he didn't attend a funeral until today. That's going to be even more unlikable for the jury. And there were signs of abuse. You say there are no signs of bites, bruises on the top of his head. I don't know. We didn't see any autopsy reports. There could have been if they shaved his head and did that. He's a child, so we're probably not going to know. Thanks, Melissa. And also, Members Only is coming up on Friday, folks. So get ready to rumble on Friday with Members Only and nobody telling me to be quiet. Thank you.
Just to maybe have a guaranteed older life or risk it all. And that's what he chose to do.
All right. Well, thank you all for helping us. It's a tough night tonight, but appreciate your insight, expertise, and your time as always. Daryl Cohen, Molly Palmer, Josh Schiffer, thank you.
Yes, we appreciate all these people. And now we know that Toady won. All right, so we're going to go to Toady won, a voice to be heard. And she's going to talk to the mother of Corey Michelow, which is Bree Michelow. And thank you for pointing that out to me, KJ. Was that KJ? KJ, were you the one that pointed that out to me? There's so many names in here. I appreciate it. Let's hear this. And everybody go to Toady One's channel. She does nothing but talk. She does some clips, but she talks. She doesn't play many clips. So if you want to just hear talking like that, she's the woman for you.
You know, it's heartbreaking. So just be prepared for that. Okay, guys?
Hi, I'm Bree Michelow. I'm 24 years old. I'm Corey's mother, and when he passed, he was 6 years old. Okay. So I haven't really talked about the very beginning of my story. This is going to be the first time I really do talk about what happened when Corey was conceived. I'm not going to go into many details because of investigations and whatnot. But so when Corey was conceived, it was not consensual. It was sexual assault. I was 16 when I got pregnant, and Christopher was 21. After that, I got pregnant. I told him about it, and immediately he wanted me to have an abortion. So after that, I just tried to stay away from him. I didn't want him to be involved because I didn't want him to try to force me to have an abortion because I wanted Corey. I didn't believe in abortion. And so like I said, I stayed away from him for a long time. He knew I was pregnant. He knew he was a father. He didn't come around much for 5 years. And he did once in a while, but it was very briefly, just here and there for 5 years. And then when Corey was 5 years old, I went and applied for government assistance. I didn't know that doing that made them go and file for child support themselves. Like it was them against Christopher at first for child support. I didn't know that was going to happen. If I did, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have applied. But they asked me who his father was, and I told them.
All right, now you're hearing the story, folks. And we heard the story before, but we didn't hear it from her. She went to apply for child support, and this is what happened. He didn't want to pay the child support. Instead, he wanted to go and get partial custody. By then, he was already angry. Why was he not locked up for that? It was too many years later, and probably just it was too many years later. Let's just put it that way. And he had already been in trouble with the law. He knew what he was doing. I'm glad she's speaking up. I'm glad Toady One is having her speak up. I'm going to reach out to her after the show.
And so they went ahead and filed for child support. And that's how he came around. For a while, he just paid the child support. And I guess at some point, his family found out that he took a DNA test and Corey was his child. And I believe that his parents forced him to go to court and get visitation. So once the visitation started immediately, that's when Corey started coming home with his bruises. The first incident, he came home, I think it was the second visit with him, and he came home with a busted lip. Christopher dropped him off by the driveway, and Corey walked up. And then once he came inside, Chris sped off. And then Corey came inside, and I could see that he had a busted lip and he had some blood on his shirt. And I asked Corey what happened. At first, he was hesitant. He didn't want to tell me. And I asked Christopher. He didn't answer me. So I decided to take Corey to the police station, which he was afraid to tell them what happened, but they ended up calling DCPMT. And they came out and they did their investigation and they talked to everyone. And Corey didn't tell them what it was, but he told me and my sister that Christopher smacked him in the mouth because he had cursed. And Chris told them that he accidentally kicked Corey in the mouth while he was going to kick a soccer ball. But of course, Corey had a different story. And that case got closed because they felt like it was unsubstantiated. And then after that, the next time Corey came home and it looked like he had like rug burn all up and down his arm, all up and down his torso. And he looked like he had a handprint on his face. And I asked Corey what that was about. And he told me that his dad thought he was too fat and he made him run on the treadmill. I asked Chris about it and he said the same thing, that he thought Corey was too fat and I needed to stop feeding him fast food. So then I called DCPMP and I guess they thought.
Sorry about the audio, folks. This is not my channel. I appreciate the platform that we have. So it's from their side of the channel. So I can't do anything about the volume. But we appreciate this and being able to hear from the voice of Brianna Michello.
It was okay for him to do that, but they did tell him that he can't go on, you can't put him on the treadmill anymore. And obviously he did again. After that, I have calls with DCPMP every week. There was different incidences where Corey would have a busted lip, black eyes, bruises all over his body. And then I'm going to fast forward to March 20th when
black eyes.
Not the next incident, but the latest incident. So Chris took Corey to the gym. He had a gym in his complex. And what he did to Corey was caught on surveillance camera. I didn't know this until after Corey passed away. No one told me about it. So Christopher made Corey get on the treadmill, and then he sped it up as fast as he could, and Corey couldn't keep up with it. So he fell and hit his chest. I've never seen the video because I don't want to see that. I don't want that memory stuck in my head. But the way I'm just telling everyone the way it was described to me. So
and she's telling exactly how it is, folks. She's telling you what happened. She's telling you that it was over child support. She needed money, and I don't blame her. When you're raising a kid, she didn't know that they were going to step in and get custody instead, which they just said the parents are the ones that told him to get custody. He wouldn't have to pay as much. And we're going to hear from the parents right after this. This was such a good call, KJ. I appreciate this. So glad to hear from Bree.
He fell and hit his chest 6 or 7 times. And then Chris walked over to Corey and picked him up by the back of his shirt. And so he picked him up by the back of his shirt and placed him back on the treadmill. And Corey's feet were dangling, and then he bit him on the top of the head. And I don't know the ending. I don't know exactly what happened at the end, but that's how it was described to me. After that happened, I think I said I didn't know about the video, but then when I saw when Corey came back home, he lifted his hair up and showed me this bump on his forehead. And I was like, oh my God, Corey, what is that from? And he told me that his dad made him run on the treadmill. And so I called DCPMP. I made a report. They went and I just checked their surveillance camera, but they didn't tell me that. But what they did tell me was to take him to his pediatrician for a child abuse exam, which I did. And at this exam, they went over his whole body and marked every bruise that he had, which it looked like he had got beaten with a bat. It was so bad. So so while we were at the doctor's office, the
Chris had partial custody, folks. He didn't have custody all the way. He had partial, and Corey was going back and forth to Bree and Chris, and that's how she saw the bruises. He even told her so. The reason he had partial custody, I don't know if you just missed this, but go back and rewatch it afterwards. But I do interact with you guys because I love the crime crew, and we wouldn't even be watching this right now if KJ wouldn't have pointed this out. And that's why I interact with my crime crew. So for those of you that just come for my content and you don't like the crime crew and me shouting them out, probably not the channel for you.
The doctor was asking Corey what happened, and he was very reluctant about it. And when she asked him the first time, he just said it was like from fall, but you could see his eyes were like darting around the room, and he didn't want to look at her, so we knew he was lying. Oh my God, my makeup. And so she asked him again, and I got upset, and he got upset, and he told her what he put him on the treadmill and that he was abusing him. So then the doctor told me to take him to the hospital for blood work and x-rays, and I did. And they took an x-ray because he had a really big bruise on his chest, and nothing was broken, thankfully. But they told me that the next day that me and Chris were to meet and go to the doctor. He was a child abuse expert, and the next day was Chris's day, so he was with him, and Chris was supposed to bring him, but he didn't end up doing that. And so I dropped Corey off at his house around 9 a.m. and Corey was healthy. He walked inside, and then everything. He didn't show up for the appointment at 12 p.m. and then he called me at 3:30, and he said, "I'm taking Corey to the hospital. He's been sleeping a lot. He's not eating. His legs hurt, and he's throwing up." But I don't think that was true. I don't think he was throwing up or anything. But he hung up. Well, he asked me for Corey's insurance card, hung up on me, and I'm sorry. And then he hung up on me. And then I texted him a few times saying, "What hospital are you at? I'm going to meet you there. I need to be with Corey." I called him a lot. He didn't answer me. And after, I would say about like 20, 30 minutes, I called the police and I told them what was going on. He had called me and said Corey was sick. He was taking him to the hospital, and now he's not answering me. So then the police went to his house and called him, and he wouldn't answer. And, all this is going on, and I'm freaking out, but I'm not thinking like it was that serious. I just thought he was sick and, throwing up maybe. And I guess he was fine earlier in the morning. And then I get a knock on my door, and it's the cops. And I just figured like, oh, they're here. They're going to tell me where Corey is. And yeah, that's when they told me that Corey passed away.
So guys, what do you think? Like, first of all, big age difference, 5 years, especially back then. Big.
And I'm only going to play her for a second because this is Toady One. We appreciate her bringing the content. She talks the whole time. Most of the time she'll play clips, but 5-year difference. Let's hear what she has to say for a minute, just so that you guys can know who she is. When you see her face come up in your algorithm, you could show her some love and support. She's in the family, folks.
Big age difference at that period of time in someone's life from 16 to 21. That's pretty big. Not so much when you're 26 to 31, but definitely from 16 to 21. So I said something about that and was wondering, how did that work out? So clearly she's saying that was unwanted. So she's also claiming, Brianna's also claiming that, Christopher knew about Corey, and she explains.
All right, we heard what she explains, and I'd rather explain it myself than to keep continuing. We appreciate this woman. However, she explains that Christopher wanted her to have an abortion. So that means that she knew about him and she didn't anyway. Now we're going to hear from the parents. I'm just going to talk for a second with y'all. Carly, thank you for sharing the link. Hope Ain't Fear. You're gonna laugh and cry all at the same time. This book is my life story, and I know we're in the middle of talking about justice for Corey, but I wanted to interact with you people. And yeah, these monsters always have issues with withholding food from little kids. I don't know why. It's a control thing is all it is. Thank you, Carly, for everything. Thank you, Bree, for everything. And I want to stop for 2 seconds and tell everybody I'm going to do a pre-record on the episode yesterday, and Bree is going to help me do it. So we're going to pre-record. We're going to go through the 186-page document of Stephen Stern's papers, and we're going to talk about Jennifer Soto, and we have lots of points that we missed yesterday. So I want you to know we'll do a pre-record, and then we'll release it immediately. Thank you, Bree, for helping me with that. And yeah, poor Bree. We're not going to rewatch that treadmill part, but we're going to show the parents now. And you can decide for yourselves what you think about his parents and them testifying.
Abuse murder trials say their family has been getting threats ever since little 6-year-old Corey died. David and Carolyn Gregor testified outside the presence of the jury so that the judge could rule whether or not the jury can hear their testimony in the trial. The defendant's father testified about seeing the bruises on Corey.
Did there come a time when you saw any bruising on Corey on that day?
We did.
Okay, where did you see the bruising?
I saw a bruise on his forehead.
Okay, and did you or your wife speak to Corey about the bruise?
We did.
Now, do you think the parents are helping the son, everybody, now that we're hearing this? Just think about that as we watch.
Okay, was it you that spoke to him or your wife?
Both.
Okay, what if anything did you say to Corey?
What happened? And Corey said, I fell on the treadmill.
Now, the judge decided that the grandparents can testify next week when the case resumes, but with some restrictions. The question we're asking this morning, could Corey's bruises damage his father's case? Let's bring in our guest, still with me, criminologist, author, and professor at St. Thomas University.
And I'm so glad that the judge ruled that Christopher's parents can testify, because I do not think it's going to help him. If they think it's going to help him, I can't wait until the prosecution gets a hold of them. Let's listen some more here.
Dr. Debbie Goodman, also with us, the former director of the Department of Family and Children's Services in Georgia, Tom Rawlings. And joining us from Florida, celebrity
Jamila, girl, where you been? I've been covering the Madeline Soto case from day one. Oh my God, so much in the Madeline Soto case. You got to go back and watch that. We need justice for Madeline. We need complete justice for Madeline. And my thoughts on that, you can go back and watch. We're coming for Jennifer Soto is all I have to say about that. Now let's get justice for Corey Michelot.
The civil attorney, John Phillips. It's great to see you all this morning. Ooh, this is a tough one. I know this breaks all of your hearts. This is awful. And it's also not fair. The parents are getting threats, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But the first question we want to talk about the case, the legal case. And if granddad comes in and testifies that he saw these bruises, what does that do to his son's case then? Attorney John Phillips, would you start us off, please?
I have a 6-year-old. My 6-year-old begs to work out with daddy. These treadmills are dangerous to begin with. And when you have a father that's either trying to live vicariously or over push a child of that age, you get this. And the bruises certainly will be key evidence. Having a family member introduce the bruises, very important for a conviction. And then you have, these photos and the video from the workout room that just shows a father that's going too far and killed his son.
Mm-hmm. And John, let's talk some more about that. So the state called their medical expert witness, a forensic pathologist named Dr. Thomas Andrew, to say this was a homicide, that's how little Corey died. I've got the clip. Let's listen to what he's saying about the pattern of abuse, not just one event.
Right.
I had this full clip, but it was like 45 to 50 minutes, and none of us that are here have time for that this evening. If you have time for the trial, you're already watching it. If you're here, then you're watching clips, and we're catching up. I plan on covering this case all the way until the end.
These injuries, given their pattern and distribution, are consistent with having been inflicted by another person. Yes. Therefore, any death that is related to the actions of another person is, from a medical examiner standpoint, from an epidemiological or public health standpoint, homicide.
Dr. Debbie Goodman, I want to go to you next, please. Is that the key for the state to getting to this charge of homicide here? Because the incident on the treadmill was horrific, yes. did it cause his death? That's kind of what's questionable. It seems to me they need to include other instances of abuse. Would you talk to us about their proof problems, please?
Yes, of course. And good morning again, Julie. Pleasure to join. You know, this case is just beyond brutal and barbaric. And to answer the question, I did create a theory on circumstances such as this, ABCD, abuse, bullying, control, and ultimately death. And I think that creates the foundation for the prosecution's case here. It's not just a singular issue, a second time, a third time. This is just a repeat performance from this individual to his innocent 6-year-old child of consistent abuse, bullying, ultimate control that led to his death. And I think the justice system will react and respond with swift, severe, and certain penalty.
Right, Dr. Debbie. Tom Rawlings, last but certainly not least, want to tap into your expertise. So does one incident make child abuse? Maybe it does, right? Is the pattern what's key here for child welfare investigators? Are they looking for a pattern of abuse typically when you see cases like this? Because we know they were called many times, and how this was.
Yeah, we saw pictures in the last episode of many bruises that he was covered with, Giselle. The first episodes of these were very brutal. We showed the treadmill incident. We showed bruises on his lip, on his face, and all over his body. So, yeah, there was lots of bruises and lots of documentation by the mother.
Hasn't stopped. It is beyond all of us here. Your thoughts, please.
Sure, Julie. Good morning. So the pattern is important here for a couple of reasons. Number one, certainly from a child welfare perspective, you can have a situation where for example, a parent loses his temper and may strike a child or hurt a child, and that can be dealt with differently in the child protective system than if you have a situation where there's ongoing abuse. In this case, I think what's critical is that Dr. Andrews testified originally that he thought that this could have happened anytime between early morning and afternoon. So it could have happened under that theory when the mother had Corey. But what I don't understand about, I'm not sure how the treadmill situation helps Gregor in any way. It shows that he was overbearing, perhaps abusive earlier, and that really, I think, focuses the time frame for the injuries that led to his death in that period when he had custody, and really makes him, I think, more susceptible of being found to be the one who inflicted the injury. We have a whodunit question.
I really like what you're saying there, Tom.
Yeah, I think on these panels, folks, people have to play devil's advocate, and there's also defense attorneys that will defend you, even if they see you stabbing somebody right there and cutting them up. They still have a defense for it, no matter what you did. Look at Taylor Business. They lifted up his head from the bucket, and there was still a defense for that, even though she admitted on camera that she did it and she liked it. Everybody has a defense attorney, and everybody spins their version. In this case, I think the version that the jury's going to see, the jury's the only one that counts here, and they're going to see right through it.
That treadmill incident signals to look right around these dates in time. And as Dr. Debbie said, it was barbaric. That treadmill incident was absolutely barbaric. So now every day around that time window, they're going to be looking for the bruises to show that pattern of abuse. Let's talk a little bit about the defendant's parents, because them getting threats we know is just wrong. And the defendant's mother, her name is Carolyn, said that the threats began almost instantly after her grandson's death.
As we're driving, my son calls me.
Which son? Yeah.
Daniel, my youngest, he was home by himself. I don't know how long after this was. He calls me. He's getting phone calls at the house, on our house phone. Threats. People are, your brother's a murderer. This was like, it was ridiculous how quickly.
Yeah, we always say on this show, don't blame the family members. People are all responsible for their individual actions. This is an adult here, right here, this defendant. If anybody gets mad at him, that's on him. But his family, they're innocent in this. So let's talk about how he's going to be defended. We know he's got a really sharp defense attorney. What kind of case is he going to put on? We know he's promising a big one. Let's bring our guest back in.
All right, trigger warning. Don't get too upset. Now they're talking about what the defense is going to do. So if you're getting mad about it, just blame Christopher Gregor. Take that anger out, turn it into love and support for Corey. There is a defense coming.
Attorney John Phillips, what do you expect to see in defense of Christopher Gregor?
Magic. don't look over here. I've got something for you over here called probable cause. And to the point brought in the last discussion, he didn't die, fall off the treadmill and die, right? That would be an easy case to solve. It's the systemic and systematic abuse that led to this poor child's death, and we don't know what was the fatal wound and how long it took to necessarily kill him and how he sustained it. But they're going to focus that, like was said earlier brilliantly, this could have been in the mom's care. This could have been over here. This could have been over here. And that's where probable cause lives.
Right, John, exactly. Mom doesn't exactly have the cleanest hands in this one. We know that little child was failed miserably. We're just about out of time. Tom Rawlings, I want to give you the last word on this. Would you take us home? Your thoughts, what we can take away from this brutal case?
Well, Julie, I think the main thing to take away is that our child protective services they do good work every day, but they are overwhelmed. They often, in this situation, of course, they probably treated this as a custody battle that they didn't want to get involved in. But I think it does show that our child protective workers really are the front lines of defense for protecting children like Corey, and we have got to make sure that they are trained in their jobs and supported in doing their jobs.
Support our front line of defense. I like that. That is the perfect note to end on. So true. Tom Rawlings, Dr. Debbie Goodman, John Phillips, thank you all.
Thank you all, Court TV, for always giving us the best information. I like streaming sometimes from channels like Hey JB and being able to watch a trial. We're not done here yet, folks. We're not done. Don't leave. I want to still continue talking about who Christopher Gregor is. We're not done. We're not done. So keep coming in, keep supporting the cause of Corey and justice. And don't forget, while we're waiting, hit that like button. All right, I want you to see what he talked about in his text messages. This guy, and watch his face. All right, we're going to hear text messages from him. And I want you to think about how the jury is seeing this. All right, I'm going to share this with you, and we're going to talk about and listen to this guy's text messages.
So admit S10 into evidence and have the witness read the defendant's text message. No objection.
S10 in evidence.
Just the defendant's message? Or both?
If you could read the defendant's text message, but both are on the exhibit.
I see. It's an incoming message from Mr. Gregor to Ms. Mitchell's phone on April 2nd, 2021 at 9:03:30 a.m. The message body states, "I am home. Let Corey walk into the house."
Thank you.
Look at his face. He looked
Now, in
pissed.
addition to messages you isolated in Ms. Michelow's cell phone, were you able to isolate certain messages in the defendant's iPhone 11?
I was.
And were those from different time periods throughout April 1st and April 2nd, 2021?
They were.
I want to hear shuffling. Let's hear some more. That's why we're here. To get through the fluff.
Could you tell me if you recognize those exhibits?
I do.
And generally, could you tell me what they are?
I can. So S136 is going to be a text message between Mark from VCPNP and Mr. Gregor's iPhone. This is an outgoing text to Mark at April 1st, 2021 at 5:17:49 p.m. The body of the message states...
I'm just going to stop you there for 1 second. Are all of these text messages in the exhibits that I showed you?
They are.
Okay. Where are they from?
They're from the SMS database on Mr. Gregor's iPhone.
Okay. And do they appear in the same condition as when you reviewed those text messages in the extraction?
They do.
Your Honor, permission to move those into evidence and have the witness describe them. No objection.
That's 136, 137, 138, 139, and 140 in evidence.
And Your Honor, I don't think that it applies to this bunch, but consistent with Your Honor's ruling and counsel's consent, the witness, I would.
Let me know if you guys have seen this already. It's text messages that he didn't want to be brought into the trial. That's why he's pissed.
Asked to read both ends of the text message, if appropriate. Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the statements that
are being made to the defendant from another party are hearsay, but as I indicated to you previously, it's often difficult to judge the defendant's response if you don't know what the other party's saying. So I'm permitting those to be read to you. You can't consider those for the truth of the matter. You can only consider those in the context of how the defendant is responding or interacting with the individual from DCP. Thank you.
With regard to S136, could you please describe to me exactly what that is now?
Sure. Again, that was an outgoing text to Mark from DCPMP. The message was sent on April 1st, 5:17:49 p.m. The body of the message states, "Hey, I can't get off work for tomorrow. I just asked my manager so I can go next week. Just let me know the number to call to schedule."
Could you please go on to the next? Is that S137?
S137. This is an outgoing text message to the 267-981-3533 number identified to be associated with Marcy Brogna. The message is the body, or excuse me, the text message was sent on April 1st, 7:48:54 p.m. The body states, "She has him at the hospital getting blood work, ... Not going to be back for a while."
And that's also sent from the defendant's phone?
Correct. That was a sent message to Marcy Brogna.
And S138, please.
Sure. S138 is going to be another outgoing message to Marcy Brogna on April 1st, 9:28:25 p.m. The message of the body states, "At police station now."
And that's from the defendant's phone?
That was from the defense phone.
S139.
S139 is another outgoing text message. This text message was sent to the number 516-617-3053, associated with the contact identified as Laura. This message was sent out on April 1st, 2021 at 9:35:27 p.m. The message of the body states, 2 hours late, she's not responding.
S140, please.
Sure. S140 is an outgoing text message to the contact identified as Amy, associated with the number 732.
They had to take the number out.
This message was sent on April 1st, 2021 at 10:17:20 p.m. The message body states, "Hey, so I'm going to take off work tomorrow because Corey's mom decided not to bring back from visitation, and I'm going to have to go to court tomorrow morning. Since Natalie isn't working, and who do I reach out to?"
Thank you.
Lawyer.
Now, did you review additional text messages from the defendant's phone from the morning of April 2nd, 2021?
I did.
Here it
I'm
is.
showing you what's been marked for identification as S141. 142.
Show us.
6.
Messages from Mr. Gregor's iPhone.
And are they all from the morning of April 2nd, 2021?
They are.
And are they all representative of separate conversations or text messages?
They are.
And do all of those text messages and those exhibits accurately represent what you extracted from the defendant's iPhone 11?
Yes, they are complete copies of the messages that were sent or received.
Your Honor, the state's offering those exhibits into evidence, and I'd ask if the witness would be permitted to read them out loud to the jury.
Yes, please.
S141, 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, and that.
Could you please describe S141 for the jury?
Sure. S141 is an outgoing text message to the 267.
They redacted.
Brogna. Message was sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 6:48:19 a.m. The body of the message states, "She has yet to bring my son home."
S142, please.
S142 is another outgoing message to the Marcy Brogna number sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 8:36:08 a.m. The message of the body states, "She just dropped him off."
S143, please.
S143 consists of two text messages from the number.
Redact number. Where he's just reading numbers.
The first one is received sent message or received message to Mr. Gregor's device saying, "Yeah, that's pretty bad, period. Is he all right, question mark." That was sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 8:57:24 a.m. Mr. Gregor replied to that conversation. And I'm sorry, when I read this before, I read the sent number. That's Mr. Gregor's phone number. This text was from Marcy Brogna. And he replied to Marcy Brogna, on April 2nd, 2021 at 9:05:42 a.m.
Please move on to S144.
S144 is an outgoing text message to Mark DCPMP. The message was sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 9:49:20 a.m. The body of the message states, "Hey, I would appreciate a call as soon as possible this morning, considering the events of last night."
Events, sir.
S145, please.
Sure. S145 is an outgoing text message to the contact identified as Amy with the phone number 732.
Redact number.
Was sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 9:53:25 a.m. The body of the message states, he's home, but I still applied for an emergent application to remove any visitation moving forward.
And is there more to that conversation?
There it is.
Let's just direct it.
Let's keep going, sir.
The reply from that text message states, good, it's from Amy at April 2nd, 2021 at 9:54:06 a.m. Body of the message states, good. Did she say why she kept him? Mr. Gregor replied to Amy on April 2nd, 9:54:16 a.m. with the word nope. Amy then replied on April 2nd, 2021 at 9:54:32 a.m. with the question, he's okay though, right? And Mr. Gregor replied at 9:55:26 a.m. with the word yeah, yeah spelled Y-E-A-H-H-H with 3 H's.
And then S146, please.
This is an outgoing text message to Marcy Brogna, the 267.
Redacted.
2021 at 11:53:16 a.m. The body of the message states, well, since I took off from work and my son is sleeping, I'm just hanging out. How about you?
Hanging out while his son's sleeping. I'm sure he's been beat.
In addition to those messages, did you review messages on the defendant's phone from the afternoon into the evening of April 2nd, 2021?
I did.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as S147, S148, S149, S150.
He's so angry. And remember the time frame when this is. It was the night before, and in the morning he's just chilling while Corey's sleeping.
S151, S152A, S152B, I'm just going to correct the marking if you could give me a second. Could I have a moment? Just to correct an exhibit number. Thank you.
We'll fast forward it there. All right, there we go. Let's listen to the rest of them.
One.
Coming. All right, there they are.
Could you take a look at those and please tell me if you recognize them?
I agree.
I do.
Generally, what are all of those exhibits?
They are text messages from Mr. Gregor's iPhone from the afternoon of April 2nd.
And are they all separate text messages or conversations, each of those exhibits?
They're all separate conversations. It appears they're all sent messages.
And did you review them prior to coming to court today?
I did.
And do they all accurately depict conversations that you observed in the defendant's extraction from his iPhone 11?
Yeah, the text messages are consistent with what the text messages were identified as.
Could you please go to S147?
Sure.
Please describe for the jury what is on S147.
S147 is an outgoing text message to the Marcy Brogna number on April 2nd, 2021 at 12:00:55 p.m. The body of the message states, nice. I might take a nap so I don't fall asleep at 10 p.m. on you, LOL.
Could you please move to the next one? S140.
Did you move those in evidence?
Judge, I'm sorry. I apologize. Permission to move those exhibits and have them read to the jury. Yes.
So the exhibits of what, 146 through 159, excluding 156, I think you did mention?
I didn't mention yet 155 and 156, and we already covered in the last group. We left off at 146.
Right, I'm aware of that.
So it's 147 through the rest.
159, excluding 155 and 156?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Any objection?
No.
And that's why we do highlights of these cases, because a lot of people don't know about this. We want to bring justice for Corey, and we want you all to know about these cases so that if you see something, you can say something. Thank you, Zora, for jumping in on this case now. It's never too late to hear about this, and we don't have all day. We don't all have all day to watch this, so I bring highlights to you.
Could you please, I'm sorry, Judge.
S147 through S154 in evidence, S157 through 59 in evidence.
Could you please move on to the next one.
Sure. S148, this is an outgoing text message to Marcy Brogna. The message was sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 12:14:57 p.m. The body of the message states, do you desire a traditional pizza, Domino's, or Pizza Hut?
Could you move on to S149, please?
Sure. S149
Very
is an outgoing text message to Marcy Brogna on April 2nd, 2021 at 12:19:48 p.m. The body of the message states, I am actually really excited to see you.
And S150, please.
S150 is an outgoing text message to Marcy Brogna sent on April 2nd, 2021 at 1:01:52 p.m. The body of the message states, well, just let me know when is the earliest you could come here.
And what about S151?
Sure. S151 are two text messages sent to Marcy Brogna. The first message was sent on April 2nd at 1:46:32 p.m. The body of the message states, I'll be able to set it up. I've done it before. I'm just super excited to cuddle after destroying you. The second message states to Marcy Brogna.
I know you just heard that. He's super excited to cuddle with this lady, Marcy, after he destroys her, which we know what he's talking about. As his son is in pain, probably slowly dying in the other room. This guy's worried about pizza and destroying this lady in bed, if you know what I mean.
Brogna at 1:46:35 p.m. in party.
Wow. All right. That was it for what we have on the wrap up for today. It just abruptly ended. So those were the text messages. I'm sure there were many more things that went on that we'd have to go through. And let's say, I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. My mom was at the hospital every day. Every day I went to an appointment until I was 18. I had great parents. A lot of us that are here have great parents, and we love them. It was just Mother's Day, so happy late Mother's Day to everybody that has great parents. Zara Brown, we appreciate you and the crime crew for being here and bringing awareness and being part of a community where we're trying to help these children. Now, remember, this guy deleted text messages. He didn't care about that kid. He was abusive, controlling. He had a history of abuse. That's how little Corey was conceived. He was an older guy, monster, that took what he wanted from Bree Michelot. We heard that today. I've told you that before. A lot of us are following this case, and we know who he is, and I hope the jury sees it the same way we do. It's not about who he is, it's what he did to Corey. But we did want to hear about who he is. It was highly requested. I cannot remember who sent me the article. I apologize. I'm not in my email right now, but somebody specifically asked to talk today about the Treadmill killer and who Christopher Gregor is. This is why I do what I do, so that I can interact with you all. I want you to know that. The Clannad tattoo I have one on my leg. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I wanted to tell you I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. I want to read you the comment. I don't even have to read it. The comment of the day yesterday was a gentleman saying that, and you can see this, I have tattoos on my neck and all over. He said he's going to skip my channel. Despite the content, he's going to skip my channel because I have tattoos and that I must need attention for the tattoos. Now, I have a channel. I need attention. That's why I have a channel, to bring attention to justice for the people that don't have the voice. Okay, so that was the comment of the day, that he wasn't going to watch because I have tattoos. Let him go to another channel. And I hope you understand that I have been a professional tattoo artist for over 25 years. I recently stopped and I took a break from tattooing. So all of these are tattoos that are very artistic and in good taste and in faith. I wanted to tell you that we're going to talk more about me on Friday. This is not about me, Gigi. I appreciate that. I'll take that since I get a lot of bad comments about myself. And Friday, I see a lot of members in here, people. There's a lot of members in here. Sharon's a member. Miracle Hearts is a member. Melissa's a member. Hope and Fear. Hope 8 Fear is a member. Deb is a member. Blah, blah, blah. And Melissa again. Rebecca, I hope that you can. I love you too. I just love you. I love the Crime Crew. I hope you guys can make it on Friday. We're going to have a members only chat where we can talk about Guilty of Crime, which is me, and how the channel is created, what I do on the outside to keep my mental health in check, which I'm barely doing right now because of my house situation, by the way. I'm still living out of a hotel, partially and partially here, but I'm making it happen. I work full time. I'm doing this with you all. And Friday, we could talk about that. And all the people that have tattoos, let's talk about the tattoos. Let's talk about Gypsy Rose on Friday as well, okay? You'll be there. I hope everybody's there. I hope not the mom is there. You got your membership back. Zora, all that happened where someone was actually, they were concerned about tattoos. They said they didn't want to watch my channel because I had a tattoo on my neck. It's on this side. I don't know how to even get to that side. But yeah, so that tattoo, other side on my neck, they don't want to hear my commentary. So Corey was probably hungry and couldn't eat because of the pain he was enduring, and he kept his food since he claimed he was overweight while the dad was eating pizza and wanting to destroy a woman in bed. That's all he cared about. So I want all of you guys to follow the trial so you can come back. We can highlight the trial, get the biggest parts. I hope that Christopher Gregor testifies so that we can hear what he has to say. He's going to ruin himself. And yeah, we're going to go live. I do most of my shows live. And yes, June 1st. I do most of my shows live. Friday's going to be a live show. And all of you that I see here, you have a little icon next to you, are part of the Crime Crew Official, which means that you're going to be able to come and watch the show. All right. So I want everybody on Friday to come. I want you to also come for Watts Wednesday tomorrow. I love each and every one of you. Let's say a little prayer for Corey and hope for justice in this case, and that the jury sees it the way that we do, and there's no anything in between, nothing in between that. Yes, I live in the Bay Area, and June is Pride Month, but it's also in San Francisco, and then it goes to every other city around the world. Justice for Corey, justice for the children. Thank you all so much for coming. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can get more content and better content as the channel grows. As it grows, we're going to have people on the panel. We're going to have guests like Bree. We're going to be doing collaborations. We're going to do all of it. And I will do pre-records for you all. Everybody have a wonderful night. I am on a time crunch tonight, but I got out everything I needed to, and thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I love you all. And on that note, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?